Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Glow Podcast. I am your host, Taylor. And for those of you just joining us, we are Tailored Marketing, and we help skincare clinics, dermatologists, as well as aesthetic clinics increase their revenue and scale their business. So if you are interested at all or have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send me a direct message. I am here today with Hannah Heidegger from Retrouve, and I just want you to kind of go ahead and introduce yourself for those who haven't heard of the brand before. And tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on your podcast today and to be in conversation with you. So thank you for having me. I'm Hannah Heidegger. I am the Vice President of Retrouve, as well as the daughter of the founders of Retrouve, Jamie and Klaus Heidegger. My family has been in the skincare industry for over 100 years.
Wow.
So I am the fourth generation of my family to continue the legacy. So it's such a pleasure to be able to work in the family business and to get to continue the incredible work that my family has done. We have the company now called Retrouve, which is a luxury skincare company. And really, our motto is art, science, beauty, which is something that I know that we'll touch on a little bit later as well. We make products that are extremely effective, but that are more gentle on the skin. So our approach is having clinically effective results and ingredients, but that do so in a way that really mimic what the skin does naturally. So really focusing on the skin's own natural capabilities to strengthen, repair, and restore itself, and basically giving your skin the boost that it needs. And in doing so, we help to address concerns such as fine lines and wrinkles, dryness, dehydration, textural issues, loss of elasticity and firmness. So we're really a multi-purpose product, and we're all about streamlining the routine. So really making sure that we have fewer products, but that do more for your skin.
I love what you said too, the last thing, fewer products, but do more for your skin, because I feel like now we're in this world where it's like, okay, you have your moisturizer, you have eye serum, you have your vitamin C serums, you have like all these different serums that everybody's making, but it's like, okay, what really should I be using? Because I don't want to have like a 30-step skincare routine, you know?
Yes.
So I know you said your family's been in the business for 100 years. That is honestly kind of crazy that skincare's even been around for that long, if I'm being honest. Like when I think about it, I'm like, oh, this is a new thing. But no, it's definitely not. So with the new company, Retrouve, well, I don't know if you all are new, but with, I guess, the company that your mom started, what kind of brought her to start this company, and what was kind of the reasoning behind it?
Absolutely. Well, we have to begin first with the original founding of my family within skincare. So my family was the previous third generation owners of Kiehl's since 1851. Okay. And so it was started by my great-grandfather and then passed down to my grandfather and then passed down to my mother. So my mom has quite literally been eat, sleep, and breathing skincare her entire life, and thus me as well, because I've grown up in this also. And so my mother started working literally, I mean, she would be like 5 years old and she'd go from school to the original Kiehl's flagship store where they had a lab, and she would play in the lab and she would make formulations and lipsticks and all sorts of things. And so that was really her childhood. And actually, you mentioned about skincare and it's, you know, just inception, sort of thinking that it's newer. And actually, my grandfather and great-grandfather together in the 50s really created what is now modern day cosmetics. And so they brought together what was the sort of old world that my great-grandfather was doing, which was like herbs and tinctures and things like that, and then bringing that with my grandfather's know-how of drug manufacturing, because he was a drug manufacturer. So together, between the pharmacology, my great-grandfather was a pharmacist, so between the pharmacology and the knowledge of the herbs and everything, with my grandfather's use of drug manufacturing, they together really built now what is the basis of modern day cosmetics. So that's how it began. And then, as I mentioned, from there, my mother would spend her whole childhood basically in the skincare industry. And that was always what they did for fun together as a family. And so this has always been a part of my family's journey. So my mother sold Kiehl's to L'Oreal in 2001. But even after she sold Kiehl's, she continued to make products for her own personal use. So the products that are now known as Retrouve have been being made quite literally my whole life, so since the early 2000s. And they were being made just for my mom's personal use. They were never intended to be sold. My mom actually had no intention of going back into the skincare industry after selling Kiehl's. She just really wanted to create products for her own skin as she was getting into her 40s. She was starting to see the effects of hormonal aging. She had had 3 children, also living in Los Angeles, which is actually a desert. It looks green, but it's actually a desert. so that it's very drying on the skin, lots of sun exposure, and she didn't feel like there was anything on the market that was really suiting her skin needs. Or maybe she found something that she liked, but it had ingredients that she didn't want to use. So like artificial fragrance or artificial coloration, parabens, mineral oils. So she made these products just for herself. And then she started gifting them to friends and family because they would always ask her, what are you doing for your skin now? And they loved it and had such an incredible response to the products and said, where can we get them? And she said, you can. I'm making these based on my decades of experience in the industry. And so that's when my parents decided to bring out Retrouve as a line and create another family-run business, and hopefully another family legacy as well. So that's the origin of Retrouve, but it's really unique because it was never intended to be a product that was for sale on the market. It really just stemmed from my mother's own realizing sort of what was missing and wanting things for her own skin.
Yeah, I feel like that's so cool because Retrouve came out of really like necessity. She saw kind of, okay, maybe I have these things that are working good for my skin, but it's not necessarily good things that I want to put on my skin. So I need to find something that I'm able to do that with. So I think that's really, really cool. And I feel like a lot of times the best products like come out of necessity. It's like, okay, I know I need this. Other people definitely need this too.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so that like she kind of found the gap kind of in the skincare market of like, okay, this is what we need here.
Yes, and also one of the big things too is having a product that's extremely efficacious and that gives you the results that you want, but also being more gentle on the skin. So, there's tons of products that are really great for results, but they may be thinning the skin or, not focusing as much on the long-term health of the skin for those more immediate results. So with Retrouve, the goal really was to create something that was extremely effective. We are results-driven and science-backed, and having these transformative results on the skin is really important, but also making sure that we're doing so in a way that's promoting the long-term health of the skin and being more gentle on the skin overall. That's really our approach, and having formulations that really mimic what your skin does naturally so that it can be more easily absorbed. Because what a lot of people don't realize is you can have the best ingredients in the world, but if they're not getting absorbed into the skin, you're not going to see the results that you really want. So it's just as important the ingredients you use, but also the bases that they're in and the delivery systems to really get them to be absorbed into the skin. So that's something that's really unique about Retrouve.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. And I guess when you all are formulating your product, what are kind of some of the, specific ingredients that you all are looking for, or different formulations that you're looking for these long-term results like you talked about?
So as I mentioned, what's really important is the clinically effective results, also the clinically effective ingredients, and actually having the ingredients at the clinically effective levels. So when they've done clinical testing on an ingredient to see what effect it will have on the skin, they've tested it at a specific percentage. Now you can use that ingredient in your formulation at a lower percentage and still claim its benefits, but you can't be assured that you're going to get the results that they got in the clinical testing. So we make sure to use our ingredients at those clinically effective levels, if not higher, to really ensure that we're getting those incredible benefits, and also having the clinically effective results and making sure that we're doing testing on that as well to really ensure that you're getting the benefits that you want from these products. And then also the synergistic effect of ingredients. So I mentioned how our products are really, our approach is fewer products that do more for your skin. And one of the reasons this is so important is because actually the synergistic effect of the ingredients working together actually enhances their benefits. So having fewer products with the synergistic effect of ingredients versus different products with maybe one or a few active ingredients really makes a difference. So for instance, for brightening the skin, they've done studies that when you pair vitamin C with niacinamide and CoQ10, that it's even more effective at helping to brighten the skin and fight hyperpigmentation than if you were to use those ingredients on their own. So really making sure that we have this synergistic blend, and this is from our understanding of ingredients, over the decades.
Yeah.
Really making sure we have that synergistic blend at those clinically effective levels for clinical results, but then also making sure that we have those delivery systems. So our delivery systems within our products feature biocompatible ingredients such as squalane and triglycerides that really are helping the ingredients to be absorbed into the skin. So we kind of like to refer to it as a bus. So whereas all the active ingredients can kind of hop on top of the bus and be able to be driven into the skin. So those are all things that we're looking at. Again, it really is a science of formulating, because it's not just the ingredients you use, it's the percentages you use them at, it's the synergistic blend of them together, and then it's also how are they getting absorbed into the skin, how are they reacting with the skin. So all of those things are things that we look at when formulating, and also the textures. This is something that Retrouve is really known for, is our unique textures, and the textures are not only luxurious feeling, but they serve a purpose as well, because when you're applying product on your skin, if you're having to pull and tug on the skin, you can create more fine lines and wrinkles and more damage on the skin. So really wanting a great texture that's going to easily slip along the skin is really important as well. So there's so many factors that go into it.
And texture, I feel like, is something that you don't always think about, but it is so important, because when I'm putting stuff on my skin, I mean, if the texture, like you said, if it doesn't slide, then you're having to rub it in a lot. Yes. And that can be irritating too. So I feel like that's something really important that, we're not always thinking about, excuse me. And so your brand, obviously, like you kind of just talked about, is known for luxurious, high performance skincare. Like you said, even right down to the texture, it's very luxurious. And so what do you think kind of luxurious means in the context of skincare?
So for us, luxurious really means the whole experience. So it's, how does the formulation feel? How do you feel when you put the formulation on your skin? How does it, for us, we don't use any artificial fragrance, and that's something that's really important to us. Also, we don't use any artificial coloration, but it is this whole experience of what the product feels like, and sort of the whole self-care experience of it as well is really important, as is the packaging. So not just for it to look nice and to feel nice in your hand, but also for us, our packaging has a really strong functionality in really maintaining the integrity and the potency of our formulations. Now, I do want to mention, we did not intend to be a luxury skincare, product.
Yeah.
That was not the goal. It was just my mother wanting the finest quality ingredients at the highest concentrations. And again, there was no business model for creating this brand. It was really just my mother wanting the absolute best. And so when that product came out, it just so happened to be within luxury, but that was never the original intention. And also the special packaging and manufacturing system that we do have is quite expensive, and it's very unique. And so that's also another thing that contributed to being within the luxury space. But that was never our goal, was to create a luxury product. But it is, when you think about the whole experience and you think about the high concentrations and the finest quality ingredients, like we source ingredients from places that not everyone sources from. And so it's really getting these unique ingredients and these unique formulations, but also the whole experience of it, like I mentioned, with the texture, with even the feel of the bottle, the look of the bottle, everything like that, and also its functionality.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense for sure. And you said you all source your ingredients from places that not everybody sources them from. Where are you primarily getting the ingredients from?
So great question. Ingredient sourcing is really important to us. Again, really wanting to have the finest quality ingredients that we can. So we source from all around the world, but for instance, our vitamin C that we use is called THD ascorbate, and it's a more unique form of vitamin C that we source from Japan and Korea. Okay. And so it's not the more commonly used form of ascorbic acid. And even when we do manufacture, a lot of times people don't realize, but these contract manufacturers will have ingredients that they then use in multiple different products, right? And so we have these special sourcing of ingredients. So sometimes we will have out of stock issues or delays because we're sourcing from special places that not all contract manufacturers have. And so we don't want to compromise that quality. So we'll wait until that one ingredient, is available. And we do make our products in smaller batches as well to keep the maximal freshness and quality of the formulations. So that's just one example. Also, the pharmaceutical grade cholesterol esters that we source from Japan. And then we also have our own permaculture farm in Malibu, California, where we source some of the ingredients for our formulations as well. So my father himself actually tills the land, and it's done completely based on permaculture, which is sustainable and organic agriculture. So whereas monoculture, you grow one thing, so maybe oranges, and everything is oranges. With permaculture, you grow multiple different things. So we have avocados, lemons, herbs, so many different types of produce that we grow there. And the reasoning for this is that it creates its own ecosystem, and it actually helps to fertilize the land. It takes a little bit longer for everything to grow, but when it does grow, it's more nutrient rich, and it's better for the land as well. And so we then take some of the ingredients, such as the avocados that we grow there, and then we press them and include them into some of our formulations. And one of the things that we're doing moving forward is really trying to source more ingredients from our permaculture farm, because it gives us such an unparalleled control over the quality of the ingredient that we are having in our formulations. So ingredient sourcing and ethical ingredient sourcing is really important to us as well. We are also cruelty-free certified. That's very important. We're Leaping Bunny certified. So not just saying, yes, we're cruelty-free, but actually having the Leaping Bunny certification, which is the most stringent certification for cruelty-free as well. So the sourcing of ingredients and also the ingredients that we use are something that really sets Retrouve apart. And we're all about providing education. We feel that that is so important for the consumer to be as educated as possible. So for instance, on our website, we have a full ingredient listing, and we state all the ingredients, what they do for your skin, and which products you can find them in, because we really do want the consumer to have as much knowledge as possible on these ingredients. And that is really something that separates Retrouve.
I love that you all have your own farm that your dad tills. Like that is wild, honestly. When did you guys start that? Like, when did you start to see kind of like a need for even that? Because I feel like that does set you apart so much. A lot of businesses, they might not even know exactly where the ingredients are coming from, but at that level you do have so much control. And so when did you start to see kind of the need for that with your family?
Absolutely. Well, it actually started even before Retrouve. So my father is from Austria, and he is from up in the Alps, and they were all farmers. So he grew up farming, and that's something that he's always been really passionate about. So we actually got the permaculture ranch before we even had Retrouve, as an idea. And so we were just creating produce ourselves. And then when we did start creating Retrouve, we realized that we had so many incredible ingredients and herbs and things at our disposal there, and that we did have this amazing control over the integrity of the ingredient. And so that's when we started using them within our formulations. But really, this was something that's just been a passion project for my father for many years before Retrouve even began. And it's great to have it with permaculture because it is sustainable and it is organic. And so it's a really wonderful way just to create produce in general.
That's really cool. That's
and
super,
even when
super
we have
awesome.
Excess produce, we donate it. We've worked with organizations such as Food Forward that help to provide food to people here in Los Angeles. So it's also a great way for us to be able to give back to the community when we have the excess produce as well.
I feel like that's such a cool story, honestly. And it kind of reminds me too of like how you said when your ancestors originally started Kiehl's, like one of them was using the herbs and then one of them was using like the more medical approach kind of. And so you're still kind of fusing those two things together, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
So you talked a little bit earlier about packaging as well. So what is the most important part of kind of this packaging process for you all, and like with maintaining the integrity of your brand, how do you ensure that with the packaging as well?
Great question. So we have our special packaging system, which we refer to as our triple airless protection system. Our trademark name for it is RTAPS 313. And essentially this system is a 3-tiered system that we created to house our unique formulations. Because again, when my mother first made these products, she was just making it for herself. She would use them in a week. She wanted high concentrations of ingredients, and then she would use them. And so when we decided to bring this out as a product to the market, it was how do we keep the stability of these incredible ingredients and these high concentrations. And so my mother actually created this special packaging and manufacturing system to house these formulations. So the system is, the first step is that everything is manufactured under an airtight vacuum kettle. So there's only actually a couple facilities really that can even manufacture our products because of this advanced technology. So it's manufactured within the airless vacuum kettle. Then it is put directly into an airless bottle. Now in the airless bottle, there's the airless system within the bottle, and then there's also the airless system within the pump. So the second phase is the airless system in the bottle, and the third is the airless system in the pump. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that even if you have an airless system within the bottle, product gets stored in the pump. That's why it comes out so quickly. And so why are we doing all of this? That is to help to prevent oxidization. So when you have these high concentrations of ingredients, they can not always be the most stable. So what can happen is when they're exposed to air or to light, they can start to oxidize. They can change color, the smell can become different, the texture can become different, but also the efficacy declines. So as I mentioned, one of our guiding principles is to create the most effective product possible. So we wanted to maintain the potency of these ingredients in order to maintain the efficacy of our product. Another great thing is that it allows us to use less preservative. Now, preservative is necessary to have in your formulation, but it allows us to use less of it because the packaging and manufacturing system is doing a lot of this maintaining for us. So what a lot of people don't realize is if you have, let's just say, a product in a jar and you open the jar, that is being exposed to light and to air. And so those ingredients are starting the oxidization process. So by the time that you're, at the end of the jar, it might not have the same percentage of that ingredient as it did when it started. So for us, it was really important to create this system to maintain the potency of the ingredients so that the consumer gets the most benefit from them. To our knowledge, we're the only company that does this 3-tiered system of the manufacturing, the bottle, and the pump. So it's a really important process, and I think not all of the time do we focus on the packaging, but the packaging is important, especially when you have these active ingredients and these higher concentrations, because one of the difficulties is maintaining the stability of these ingredients. And so the packaging looks beautiful, but it also does have a really strong functionality as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like packaging is something that people don't focus on a lot, as a consumer or as a business, because the businesses aren't focused on it because the consumers aren't educated on it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like they don't really have to focus on it because nobody really knows the difference, or at least not a lot of people do. But I think that that's really cool that you all are focused on it, even if, the consumer maybe isn't as educated on it. And I'm sure y'all are also taking steps to educate them further so that they understand, that is something that affects the efficacy of your products.
Yes, it certainly is something that we are trying to educate about because, as you said, not a lot of people know about the importance of the packaging. And really it is, especially if you're, paying for a luxury product, you want the full potency of those ingredients for the entire time that you're using the bottle, right? So it really does have a big impact. And as I mentioned, it's really everything together. There's so much care and thought that's gone into Retrouve. And so it's not just the formulation, but then also how are you housing it? Like there's just so many aspects to creating skincare that is not always thought about.
And this kind of leads me into my next question too, because obviously there are misconceptions with skincare, especially with the rise of social media. Anyone can kind of get out there and say anything. Like recently the beef tallow thing I know is huge. So what is one thing that you kind of wish more people did understand, or what are you all focused on right now with educating people?
So I think first and foremost is that skincare is an individual journey. So one thing that we really focus a lot is connecting one-on-one with our customers and determining the best products for their individual skin needs. So what works for one person might not work for another person because everyone's skin is different. And so I think that right now with the market being so saturated, it can be really difficult to figure out what is the best product for me and for my own skin needs. And there's so many trends out there. I mean, you mentioned the beef tallow. And so it's really figuring out what is going to be the best for your own individual skin needs. Another thing that I think is really important too, and that we focus a lot on in our education, is the percentages of ingredients. So a lot of people don't know, but the ingredient listing goes from highest to lowest. So the highest percentage of the ingredient to the lowest percentage of the ingredient. So it's important to note when a company is stating, oh, this product has vitamin C, or it has X ingredient, to look to see where it is in the ingredient listing, because if it's at the very bottom, that means that the percentage of that ingredient is not very high. Also, a lot of products, the first ingredient is water. A lot of our formulations are actually water-free. So you're getting the full potency of the ingredients and not being diluted by that water, which is holding up a lot of space within the formulation. So there's really a lot to think about in terms of the ingredients, as I mentioned, and so that's really where a lot of our education goes to, but also focusing on the individual skin needs of that person. And so we have a concierge service where we offer complimentary personalized skincare consultations. We also love sampling. My mom actually, back in the Kiehl's days, they used to call her the queen of sampling. And they used to say, like, that's so crazy. Why would you give your product away for free? And my mom said, no, I want people to try the product. I want people to find what's going to be best for their own skin. And so we really believe a lot in sampling before you buy products, and also in having these personalized consultations, like with our concierge service, to be able to determine really what is going to be the best for your individual skin needs.
So with the concierge, when people book with that, is it just like a Zoom meeting online, or how does that work?
So there's many ways that we do it. It can be through Zoom, it can be through FaceTime, it can be a phone call. It can also be in person depending on where you're located.
Okay.
So there's many different ways that we have to reach us. We also have some people who just want to communicate via email or text, and that's fine as well. So we really do try to meet the person wherever they would like their communication to be, but still be able to provide that service. And actually, going back to the luxury question, I think that that's another key aspect of luxury is the customer service, and really providing this white glove service to our clients. And that's something that is really important to us, is providing the best customer service that we possibly can. And one of the ways that we do that is through this concierge team that we have.
I feel like that's awesome because, like you said, skincare is so individualized. You know, everyone needs something completely different. Like if you're living in the desert, you need something that's very hydrating for your skin. It depends on like your environment, your genetics, all of these different factors. And what you need could be completely different from what another person needs. So I love that y'all are able to help out with that as well.
Exactly. And so much now, like you write in and you receive an AI like chat robot, right?
Yeah.
And so to really have that personalized touch where it's actually a person that you're FaceTiming with or calling with or emailing with, and not just some AI bot, is really important as well. I know I personally love that human touch, especially when you are talking about skincare, because that is also something that's very personal. And so really being able to have that connection with another human, I think, is very important.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I feel like, in the world where AI is just like taking everything over, it's nice to be able to know that there's actually somebody real on the other line of what you're saying. And I guess right now, what is one of the most kind of like popular products at Retrouve? Like, do you guys have anything new, or what are you seeing the most that people are just loving right now?
So our top product is our Revitalizing Eye Concentrate Skin Hydrator. This is one that is extremely effective for the under eye area. It's clinically proven to address concerns with fine lines and wrinkles, firmness, elasticity, dehydration, and dark spots. And it's really the only under eye product that would be needed for that area. And what people love so much about it is its unique texture. It has this really incredible slip and glide so that you're not having to pull and tug at the under eye area. Again, the skin underneath the eye is so thin, so you really want to be as gentle as possible with that area. Also, the product is clinically tested to be safe for sensitive skin and non-irritating, something that was really important to us. Again, creating something that is extremely effective, but that is more gentle on the skin. The under eye product also, the smallest amount is all that is needed. So it's going to last you a really long time. We like to say half a rice grain size is all that's needed.
Oh, wow.
And another part of education is I love to tell people you want to follow the orbital bone. So a lot of people will put an eye product right underneath their eye. That is not necessary. Because the skin underneath the eye is thinner, the product will move upwards. So we always advise people to apply it to the orbital bone. So just follow the bone around. You can go around the eyebrows here. And so you don't need to apply it closer. A lot of people will tell us, oh, I feel, when I use eye products, it gets into my eye. And the first thing I ask is, how are you applying it? And also, how much are you using? And so that's a really important educational piece of using the product, ours, but also any eye product. I think it's really important. We also just launched recently our hydrating lip serum, which actually sold out in its first 2 days, which was so incredible. So this is quickly becoming a bestseller of ours as well. It's a really unique approach to treating the skin on the lips. So a lot of lip products contain waxes or silicones that are basically occlusive and are acting as a barrier. So they're moisturizing the top of the lip, but they're not actually being absorbed. So we created a very different approach. So our lip serum is lighter. It has a great vitamin blend to really actually get everything to penetrate. So it does not feel like a balm. Like this is not some, thick, rich formula. It's a lighter formulation intentionally so that it does penetrate the skin of the lips so that you get continuous moisturization. And you can use it by itself, or you can also pair it with like lipsticks, or even if you want that rich, thick balm consistency, you can pair it with a richer, thicker balm as well. But we really wanted to create something that was unique. We've only created, this was our 11th product, but we've been around for 10 years. And so we don't have a product come out just to have a product come out. Again, we really want to find these niches within the market and these areas where we feel like we can really make a difference and really make something that is so unique. So a lot of our products are unlike other things that are on the market. And then upcoming, we have a new launch in September, which we're very excited about, which is a product that will feature a proprietary blend of herbs from our permaculture ranch in Malibu.
Wow, that's awesome. That's super exciting. You'll have to keep us updated on what you all have coming. But those sound awesome. I feel like especially for the lips too, like I haven't really heard of a ton of products that focus on the lips in that way. So that's very, very cool.
Yes, it's certainly a super unique approach. And actually, the new product that we're launching is my favorite product that we've ever made. I'm so excited about it and for it to come out. It's going to be a beautiful face mask that has those herbs, and I absolutely love it. So I'm really excited for that.
That is exciting. Yes, I love face masks, honestly. If you get a good one, like you don't even have to go for facials, I feel like.
It is a really important part of the skincare routine. And again, we're all about having fewer products that do more. And so really, even with it being a mask, it's going to be very multi-purpose, which I think is also going to be really unique. So not just a product that you apply once a week for 20 minutes and remove, but really one that you can incorporate into your routine.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I would love for you to tell my audience how is the best way for them to find you, find Retrouve online, and kind of connect with you there, or check out any of the new products that you guys have, or really anything.
Thank you so much. So we can be found on our website, which is www.Retrouve.com. Our concierge service can be reached via our website as well. And also on Instagram, we are at Retrouve Skin. So if you write into our Instagram, we'll also be able to help you that way as well. And we also have really great educational videos and tips and things like that on our social media as well. As I mentioned, education is a really important part of Retrouve, and so we love being able to produce content that hopefully you will find to be helpful as you're on your own skin journey. But please feel free to reach out to us if there's any samples you want to try, or if you have any questions just on skincare in general, even if it's not related to Retrouve. As I mentioned, we really want to help people in their skincare journey, whether that involves Retrouve or not. And we know it's such a saturated market and that it can be so confusing and frustrating at times when you're just like, I don't know what product to use, or, I don't know what order to use products in. There's so many differing opinions out there. And so we're more than happy to talk about any aspect of Retrouve. And so the concierge service can be reached through our website, or also concierge@retrouve.com is another email that you can email directly into to get assistance as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll put all of that in the show notes as well, so everyone has access to it. And thank you again so much. It was so fun talking more about Retrouve and really just skincare in general. So I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was so wonderful to get to be on your podcast, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course.